time. She was over the moon when Christopher came.
And she seemed to me throughout the period of Rape of Nanking and well into the period of the Chinese in America, focused on the future, thinking about new projects, happy with her family life, happy with the increasing visibility of the Chinese American organizations that she cared about greatly.
We, the people and the fighting forces of the United States, in our own blood.
Next night, you let us swim in Manila Bay.
Research for my fourth book started with an oral history project on Bataan POWs. It was an American veteran who wrote and asked me to tell their stories. The same day the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, they also attacked the Philippines, and about 10,000 US and 70,000 Filipino soldiers were forced to surrender. And that led to what became known as the Bataan Death March.
When we do these interviews and talk to these veterans, it's difficult. It's difficult to hear the stories and to read the accounts of what these men went through and what they experienced. You walk away with these thoughts sort of burdening you. I can only imagine that after 11 months of, again, dealing with this topic and hearing these stories over and over, that must have been a tremendous weight, a tremendous emotional burden.
I think she took it on because she believed the story needed to be told. She saw herself as a facilitator for those who had been muted by others, by those in authority, by those who had an interest in not hearing these stories be told.
And justice for all means justice for all. And she was not looking for justice for Chinese or for the victims of the Nanjing Massacre. She was looking for justice for all.
You know, her experience with what she learned writing The Rape of Nanking, she was afraid of concentrated power in government. And so some of the things that the Bush administration was doing just completely set her off. I mean, she would react very, very strongly to that.
22 pistol out of his holster.
You know, I lie awake at night with the voices of the Bataan survivors going round and round in my head. Just like Nanking.
The guy's Filipino there.
Voices are different. The details are different. The language is different, but the story's the same. But these men, just like the people in Nanking, poured their hearts out to me. Somebody had to listen, to record it, and validate their experience by making it public. I couldn't turn away, just like I couldn't turn away before. And I also think it's important to remember these stories, to remind us that no matter how civilized we think we are, it doesn't take much for us to get to the point where we can massacre each other without a second thought. And in the end, I'm left with one question. When will the madness end?
And sometimes she didn't tell us as much. She just kept to herself, working all the time.
At that time, she was complaining that she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep. It seemed like it was worse than it had ever been before.
We noticed that she is very exhausted. That's how I feel her health go down. And she couldn't eat very well either. She didn't have much appetite and couldn't sleep well. And of course, we are very concerned.
Yeah. She had a baby, she already had the fourth book to write and all the other things, yeah. And somehow it's just too much for her.
She was going on a research tour, and she was getting ready for that. She wasn't sleeping during the day. She was up all day, and she was up all night, and she was up all day, and she was up all night. So she was probably up for 3 or 4 days straight before she went on a trip.
She felt she just had to get out there and interview as many of these survivors as she could as quickly as possible. That time was against them and against her. One Monday, I checked my messages on the voicemail, and there was a call that said, "It's me," no name, but I knew who it was. "Help, I'm in Kentucky, and this number, help me." And I called the number, and it was a hotel, and all they told me was that Iris had checked out.
She physically broke down in August when during the trip she interviewed survivor of the Batam death match. It's only 3 months, so it happened very fast. Yes, we really a lot of questions we couldn't answer.
I was up there twice after her collapse in Kentucky. And, both times she was very flat. I think her drive, her optimism, all of those defining characteristics, it was just, it was like she was suddenly flat. Whereas before she was just a vibrant ball of energy.
After she had her breakdown, she was depressed, and then the medicine that she was given made her even more sluggish. They thought it would be a long, long time before she was, back to normal. Or probably never back to normal.
And she knew she wasn't herself, on some level she did know that. And something, had profoundly changed for her.
She was very sad and very frightened. She was, I felt, very cognizant of losing the person she once was. And that Iris Chang was gone and would never come. No medicine, no therapy was ever going to bring it back. And she knew it.
After she died, it seems part of me died too. But I try to think more positively now because she died so young. I think we can do is to continue her unfinished work and her dream.
You are going to find that we live in a world in which international law has much less to do with actual justice than international politics and money. A world in which those who have power often believe that they are above the truth. My greatest hope is that a few of you in this auditorium today will actually serve as crusaders for truth, beauty, and justice in the future. People like that are needed to create a better world for the next generation of humankind on this planet and to ensure the survival of our civilization. Please believe in the power of one. One person can make an enormous difference in this world. One person, actually just one idea, can start a war or end one. You as one individual can change millions of lives. So think big. Do not limit your vision, and do not ever compromise your dreams or ideals.
I gave voice to the voiceless. Now I'm silencing my own. What I've left behind. Remember, in you, my spirit lives on.